particular information right now. Let me see if I can get this part. And what it says is, Blavatsky gave a synopsis. If I would have read this in the early 1990s, 1980s, I would have thought it would have been ultra racist. At this particular time, because I understand more about the evolvement and the evolution of our people, which is the spiritual transformation of our people, it's right on time. But let me explain this to you. The Theosophists has placed themselves and their Indian allies, the Aryans, well, right there they gave you the shit. Because she was talking about East India, who she was calling the Aryans, which means that the original Aryans were the fucking damn Dravidians, even more than the Eastern Indians you see now. At the vanguard of humanity, she said these Aryans are the Eastern Indians, so you just say that my well black Cushite. In the alliance with the highest superiority of the highest spiritual intellectual ability. What this means is that whatever Hitler and them did, they miscalculated this woman's teachings, because this was surely talking about black people. Which classing, but this is the key now. What are they talking about? Look at this. Which classing the black, the yellow, and the red races as laggards who have passed their zenith hundreds of years ago. What do they mean by that? This is very spiritual. Surely if I'd have read somebody calling us laggards and say we passed our zenith hundreds of years ago, 5, 6 years ago, I say that's some racist shit. But I understand the metaphysical process on what's going on here. It's positive. And try to understand this. Let me draw you a diagram. What they mean is this, or what she meant was this. Understanding how the world works. Let's say this is a line. Not a straight one, but you get the point. This is where you are in the beginning. This is the scale, or the end scale of that particular plateau that you go to. This is the zenith point. Between Atlantis, Lemuria, ancient Egypt, ancient Samaria, ancient Greece, which was black, the Etruscans. I'm going to read you a prophecy of the Etruscans in a few minutes. The original ancient Rome was black. Ancient India, ancient Australia. We did all of this till we got to the zenith point. When she said we were laggards because we passed the zenith point eons ago, she was right. What do they mean by that? In a cycle, if you are going from point A to point Z, you understand? If you stop right here and you have used up your zenith point, let's say that you went to the zenith point and somehow you got to this particular point right here. The key is not to somehow go back to this particular point in the way of going back back to this particular plateau of what you've already done. You have already used up that. And your particular point of just doing this particular A to Z was to get to another plateau. The key is not to actually go from A to Z and just say, I want to go back to ancient Egypt. It's to go to the next plateau. You understand what I'm saying? So it's to slide. You get it? Yeah. The key is, once you are waiting in this way station, if you've reached your zenith, you become a laggard. Doesn't mean that you are somewhat inferior. It means that this particular plateau you have outgrown. It's like being stuck in a kindergarten class with a PhD mind. So after a while, you go into a state of senility, racial senility, senile, because this particular plateau does not give you the nourishment to get your evolution to God further. So as a result, you shut down and go into hibernation. You get it? Yeah. It's a senile. It's the same thing as an older person. He goes and he reaches his zenith point, And then what happens? He starts to die. He becomes senile. That's racial senility. It's not that he needs to go back to a baby. It means that he's got to go to the next plateau. You get it? The reason why white people function better than us because they are a younger race of people. And very young race at that. You see what I'm saying? Babies, infant stage. You see what I'm saying? Unfortunately, this plateau is the only shit they're going to ever get. So, what are we talking about here? We're saying this. This answers the age-old question that you know in your mind. Black people are fucked up. And black people ain't about shit. Now, let me go into this now. Let me tell you. I don't want you to get no ideas because we go on emotion and we don't process shit. That's the fucked up problem because you see now, like an old goddamn person, you got to watch what you say around them motherfuckers. You understand? Because they don't have a brain to process nothing no more. So you got to treat them like a damn baby. Just like a baby. Because in between they have lost the ability to compute, to process. So shit got to be laid out with this and this, or this, which is a baby. Black people, especially the last 2 years, if you've noticed, have reached their worst condition. I guarantee you, other than the people in this room, 98% of black people you see got nothing virtue in them left, that you can see a certain energy that used to be the moral authority of all the world. Now all black people fucked up. Am I lying? Who gave you the most trouble? Who the most hard? But the Bible and the Quran and the Torah and even the esoteric, the Kabbalah, the Book of the Dead and all that prophesies that you would be a stiff-necked, hard-headed people. Now what do they mean? What am I getting to here? It had to come a point before you go to the other realm that the energy inside of you stopped working for you. Now let me explain this to you. Black people used to have a melanated energy inside of them that was partially manifest. It was enough energy inside of them that was pointed outwardly. And it would help the physical body do amazing tasks even in the most oppressive conditions. You understand? That's why you outshine the white man even in your slavery. That's because the energy inside of you helped you cope in the most enduring conditions. Provided you didn't have these enduring conditions and restrictions over you, you would be super people, even in the physical body. You get it? But somewhere about the last 2 years, right after the Siggy ceremony of the Dogon, the particular energy went inside of a doorway of most black people out here and became dormant. Instead of the energy pointing outward to help the physical body get through everyday life, the energy now is going inward so the physical body can decay even faster because that soul now is rejecting the physical body because we cannot function in these bodies anymore, just as the ancient scriptures say that we need to throw off. It's right there even in the Bible. That's the whole thing about the mummy in Egypt. And then you have to come out of the mummy casings into the divine falcon. So in order for us to stop functioning in this particular part to get to the other plateau, the energy in the masses of the people shut down. And they're running off of raw spiritual energy now. Raw physical energy like the white man. Even worse. Because that's not our nature, so it does even worse for us. So now, a nigger is probably one of the worst things you can come in contact with. Get you upset, will steal from you, talk shit about you, and there ain't nothing virtuous. And more easy to be controlled by the devil now. Why is that? Because the energy now is rejecting the body because the energy is time to go to the other plateau. Y'all getting this? You get it? Sure. Now, this is the key on this. Let's see this now, what I said. You have gone down to the shit level, the feces level, the dung level. But what is shit, dung, and feces? Fertilizer. From the rot, you get new growth. So it's inevitable that this hell or this hull had to become a rot, a deterioration of raw waste material so you can get the new growth. So what you are seeing with black people all over the country, all over the world, all on TV, is a degeneration to the lowest form, which is not degeneration, it's transmutation, putrefaction that goes to illumination. No, karma has nothing to do with it. I'm explaining that to you in a few minutes. That's the white people bullshit. I'm explaining that to you in a few minutes. But it's alchemy. In alchemy, they have something called the negrito, the blackening stage, the cancellation stage, the spiritual rot before you get to the light stage, which means the Hindus, or the, excuse me, not Hindus, but the yogis say that the body cannot materialize, or the body cannot ascend until the corpse has rotted completely, or the astral body still hangs around that corpse until it rots completely. So they would burn the body so a person can miss. You get it? Sure. Out of the mummy casings into the divine falcon. So in order for us to stop functioning in this particular part to get to the other plateau, the energy in the masses of the people shut down. And they're running off of raw spiritual energy now. Raw physical energy, like the white man. Even worse. Because that's not our nature, so it does even worse for us. So now, a nigger is probably one of the worst things you can come in contact with. Get you upset, will steal from you, talk shit about you, and there ain't nothing virtuous. And more easy to be controlled by the devil now. Why is that? Because the energy now is rejecting the body, because the energy is time to go to the other plateau. Y'all getting this? You get it? Sure. Now, this is the key on this. Let's see this now, what I said. You have gone down to the shit level, the feces level, the dung level. But what is shit, dung, and feces? Fertilizer. From the rot, you get new growth. So it's inevitable that this hell or this hull had to become a rot, a deterioration of raw waste material so you can get the new growth. So what you are seeing with black people all over the country, all over the world, all on TV, is a degeneration to the lowest form, which is not degeneration, it's transmutation, putrefaction that goes to illumination. No, karma has nothing to do with it. I'm explaining that to you in a few minutes. That's the white people bullshit. I'm explaining that to you in a few minutes. But it's alchemy. In alchemy, they have something called the negrito, the blackening stage, the cancellation stage, the spiritual rot before you get to the light stage, which means the Hindus, or the, excuse me, not Hindus, but the yogis say that the body cannot materialize, or the body cannot ascend until the corpse has rotted completely, or the astral body still hangs around that corpse until it rots completely. So they would burn the body so a person can go up and reincarnate fast if they want that person to come back down fast enough so they can remember its past life, and they can go and work with it. The Egyptians did the opposite. They would mummify the body and fool the body, and somehow they had the knowledge to make the body ascend, and they could mummify the body, and the body would still think it was living down here, and therefore it didn't reincarnate, because they didn't want to reincarnate. So now, getting back to this, we're talking about alchemy. Alchemy is the lost language or the mysteries that the Afrocentric movement didn't know nothing about and couldn't allude to. But it's old in England and in Europe because of the Moors brought it up, which is nothing but the study of melanin and the real true study of the soul, which is the real true study of the soul. So when they say we were laggards, it just meant that we were senile for this plateau. which is the way it's supposed to be. You all getting this? We're talking quantum now, and we're talking going to another realm.
But are we reaping what we sowed?
No, that's bullshit. Okay, yeah.
Before about they had this cloud coming down on them because they created it because...
Yeah, let me explain this. Let me explain this to you. That was talking about white people. Let me explain this. About karma. The karma thing in the ancient scriptures, see there's two things that's going on here. You got ancient scriptures that talk about it's not a karma than it was when we were living in the physical and was young in the physical, we had already fallen. And we was playing out a series of eons of a divine hibernation. The religions come, and in religions you got original sin. You always got something blaming you for being down here. That has nothing to do with ancient mystical systems. You were God in transition. Part of the yogi system was that man raised himself to God. But somewhere there was a religion in yogiism or Buddhism that came in and started talking about karma as the same as the Christian talk about sin. That has nothing to do with the original gnosis. It's a matter of a hibernation. You see Osiris stretched out? He's been in hibernation ever since, in a series of eons before the soul rebirth. It's like a damn seed in part. You might think it's a couple of thousand years, but it's only like been 2 days, maximum, on the God realm. When you get to Jason and the Argonauts, they'll say, yeah. They say, it's only been a couple of hours to us, but it's been 20 years for young Jason. I mean, they talking in a conversation. The motherfucker a baby. They get through it a few damn minutes. They look down, it's 20 years, he already grown up. So there's no such thing as space and time in quantum physics. So the karma thing and this whole thing about we were being punished for something, that's religion. That got nothing to do with the ancient cycle of what really happened. That only came about 2,000 years ago. And even the karma thing that they're talking about is because we don't understand that they even had a exoteric form of religion that's meshed in with their ancient mystery system in India. We think this karma shit, that's all false. And basically, it's actually talking about eons of hibernation, basically what this stuff is talking about. There's either greater mission to explain this stuff. We'll get into that also in question and answer. The stuff that I'm talking about here is a process that the soul takes. And the process the soul takes before it illuminates totally is this particular realm has to rock. And what you're seeing with the behavior of black people is our souls are actually rejecting the body. At one time, the soul said we got a certain amount of eons to be here, based on the process of things. So we transmit out for the body to be able to function at the best ability in the physical. And that's all the greatness you see that black people do and have done. But some point when the soul is saying, now this particular stage is over, so I cannot prolong the production of the physical, so what I have to do is I have to go in totally and withdraw in the dormant seed, and the body starts to decay. So when you see in human behavior, it's actually a decaying, which is positive. A spiritual rot, a shit. But what is a shit? Dung. The beetle, the scarab, rises up out of the dung. You see? And that's what's actually happening right now. What's actually going on right now in this. So when she said about the laggards, I get it now.